Hello ladies and gents, I am Diffin, and this is From the Depths Vehicle Designer. In this episode I am going to create a Q-ship, which is essentially a merchant vessel with weapons, so it's sort of disguise, ambush type thing. So for this I'm going to take the hauler I've created and weaponize it. So let's quickly load in said hauler. So the ADFA hauler. And load it up. Here we go. I have made a couple of little changes to it. Namely, I have moved the thrusters from the top to the side and added some repair tentacles, so this actually can repair things when pulled out of play, but it's something I haven't really used before, and also made a little bit there. So, what I'm going to do is this is going to have two different types of, well, actually you have three weapon systems. So I'm still going to keep a load of munitions and that in this ship, so I have a load of these storage, probably one compartment dedicated to storage. Then one section is going to be dedicated for anti-air and one for anti-missile. Well, not anti-missile, anti-ship. And we'll have some anti-missile type things in this, probably some flares at the rear here, or maybe bolted onto the side. And then also I'll position a torpedo array at the base of the craft down here. So without further ado, let us get into it. So I have done some basic adjustments so far. I have positioned the launch pads in on both sides, so I have a large number of launch pads. These ones at the rear are going to be the anti-ship ones, these are going to be the anti-air. I've also completely armoured up the side and also added in ejectors, so that's what these are defending. These are actually defending the ejectors. Tried to keep a little bit of the previous style, so that from a distance the profile is pretty similar. Not identical, but it is getting a lot more like it. From the end it's almost identical, which is exactly what I want. Behind these wooden panels I'm actually going to place shield generators. These shields will be fairly basic reflect shields, not providing that much protection, but definitely should stop some projectiles, definitely, particularly from the high velocity rounds just going straight through and destroying the ammo compartments, which are going to be more central. This section here is going to be for said ammo, as this ship is going to be in combat and it can be supporting the rest of the fleet. At the rear of the ship also now have additional flares. These flares launch out sideways and should detract IR missiles aiming towards the hot rear of the craft. Here we go, I have just applied all the shielding. So it's bright green, it's only reflect one. So I do have a big opening, of course, at the rear and back, but this thing is basically going to be moving. And I don't want it to be particularly heavily armoured. I have the missiles now in place, and a load of ammunition in the middle here, and a ton of resources here. So it's actually carrying a really rather significant amount of resources. Oh, I do need to add in some fuel. I actually add in fuel into these sections here in between the missiles, so I'll do that in a moment. And then I actually need to configure the missiles themselves. It's doing alright. I am going to remove the alpha of this shield. It's just, I put it on bright green so you can see where it is. But let's go and add in the fuel, and I will then show you the missiles. I've hopped over to my testing weapons platform, and this is the anti-air missile I'm going to be utilising. So it has several fins, a short range thruster with the start delay because I'm utilising an ejector, a one turn so it actually faces its target, and a couple of fragmentation warheads. The infrared seeker is due to the fact that air targets are normally quite hot. Let's just spawn in a duster, and let's see how it goes. So it's there, it turns around and flies nicely towards the target. Excellent. So it does work. Of course I'm going to have a lot more than just one. Let's just save this design. The anti-surface missile I'm going to be utilising is pretty much the same as the anti-air version. The main difference is that I'm going to be utilising an active radar seeker because surface targets are normally a little bit larger. I might swap out another one of the fins, but I do need the short-range thruster because I need the start delay. Because the biggest difference on this is that it's going to be reverse launched, though warheads are also at 30 degrees, which is kind of a big difference from 180. But yes, this is a reverse launch, so this comes a little bit differently to way things to normal. So it's launched up unpowered and then aims towards the target. It's quite neat. And I didn't do something right. Give me a moment, I'll troubleshoot that. Okay, I should have fixed it by now. Let's have a look. No, no, no. Huh. Nope. I'm really confused by this, because I thought it was friend or foe, but apparently not. I have no idea what the issue of this is. I launch it and it doesn't work. I do troubleshooting and it works perfectly. I fired it exactly the same way, and I just don't get it. I really don't. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to put a local weapons controller on it, see if it's something to do with where I'm aiming it. Just dump a detection array on there. So now, the Vanguard retrofit kills itself. The hell? There we go, it's actually working. It fired there, so it launched up and then went towards the target. What? Is it to do with me recording? Okay, this is very strange. It seems to only occur when I'm actually recording. If I pause the recording, which I'll pause the recording, see if it launches. Yep, I paused the recording and then it launched straight away. The next one does not. That is infuriating. Okay, I'm just trying a different thing. If I use 2 ejectors, does that help? I'm using 2 ejectors now. It does seem to help a bit. It is actually launching up, but still nowhere near enough. I also don't know why it's launching 2 missiles at once. That's a weird bug. See, this is how far it ejects without the ejectors and then with it. That's just truly bizarre. Because I do like the arc, and it does take on ships really rather nicely. So I'm going to have to try and figure this one out as to how I can utilise this without it bugging out all the time. I may just have to use that. I'm getting some other weird bugs. I'll put it on the ship and see if it works. Otherwise, I may just have to use a standard vertical launch rather than this reverse vertical launch. So I'll be right back on the main craft. So, I have completed the Q ship. I haven't combat tested it yet, but everything should be working okay, unless I'm getting that weird bug with the reverse launch missiles again. I have a radar sonar buoy. This launcher will fire whenever it sees an enemy, and that information can also be transmitted to other craft using the intra-vehicle transmitter. And below the ship itself, they have a couple of torpedo bays. These, nothing particularly special, but they will do a nice amount of damage and travel a rather long distance. So, I will actually spawn it in something like a Kalmar and see how it goes. And there all the missiles completely, utterly fail. Wonderful. The reverse launch missiles do not work. Well, the missiles do work better when launched outside of recording, but I can't do that because I am recording the game. So I'm going to have to change them just to standard normal vertical launch, and yeah, it's a bit irritating, but that's what I'm going to have to do. Because that happens. Good explosion test though. The ship does survive the whole ammo compartment exploding, and it does fall in the drink though. I have now converted all the reverse launch back into normal launch, and added another camera detection system. It's not quite powerful enough though to... Right, let's spawn in a Kelmar and see what happens. So all the missiles are launched. Probably need to increase how far spaced they are though. Was that a heat decoy at the top there? Oh, very nice. Large torpedoes hitting as well, I think. AI did. Yeah, and some of the missiles are actually hitting each other in flight, which is not good. Does look impressive though. Let's go fight the Kelmar again. Probably haven't got enough ammo, have I? Yeah, it's a much, much better array of shots. Yeah, that's looking a lot better. Try something a little bit tougher. Let's try one of a Kingstead Onyx Watch ship that's a lot larger. Good amounts of damage is being dealt here. The torpedoes hitting below the waterline doing a nice amount of damage considering they are just explosive against big Onyx Watch heavy metal ships. Came a little bit close there, you took a cram to the side. How are you doing though? Doing well, it's disabled one of the missile racks it seems. The speed of the ship does seem to be keeping it relatively safe against cram cannons. I have no ammunition though, so that is a little bit of an issue. I'm very happy with how it's turned out, so I'm just going to destroy enemy ship. I'm very happy with how this ship has come out. As you can see, I've just spawned in the hauler design. And you can see the actual profile is pretty similar. Yes, the Q-ship design is more heavily armoured, definitely. But it does seem to hold very similar properties, particularly when they're moving. So as such, I do think it's worked well as the concept of a Q-ship, a disguised merchant vessel. It does also contain a rather large amount of resources, so it will be able to support fleet operations very successfully. And in fact, this designer may repurpose it for full hauling as the campaign goes on, because if it does get attacked by a few ships, it can definitely defend itself. Not great, but it was doing quite well against that Kingstead, which is quite a strong design. In terms of other features of it, it is quite a bit slower. Go into here, its max speed is still there around about 70, so it does do well, and its power is also a little bit higher, mainly because of the shield, but these shields will protect it rather effectively, as do the flares. Torpedoes are definitely lacking on the ship, but they are there purely as a little bit of an afterthought, and it's good enough considering what this is designed for. It's designed to support a fleet in combat, and is more of just a cosmetic design and an aesthetic build rather than an actual functional ship in a fleet. These haulers will be going between the outposts, resupplying those, but then the actual ships which are going to be supplying the fleet operations are probably going to be these, so if they do get pulled into combat or end up in combat, they are able to defend themselves, whereas that one kind of just explodes. It has no shields whatsoever, so a quick fire Sabogan will completely wreck it to pieces. This though will be able to defend itself. But also, this does have the detection systems and the intra-vehicle transmitter, so any detection information this ship gets, it will also relay that to the rest of the fleet, improving their combat prowess. Other than that though, I think this build is done. It is a little bit more, quite a bit more expensive. It is still a little bit too large to be used in the ground campaign. It is 3,000, but it's still pretty cheap for what it does. does. But that is all I have time for now, so thank you very much for watching this episode of From the Depths Vehicle Designer. If you did enjoy the episode, please leave a like and or comment below, as it is always great to hear from you. Otherwise, that's it from me for now, and I shall see you next time, but until then, I'm out. Goodbye!